Okay, so just to confirm, do I have your permission to record this interview and present it with my teacher in my class?
Yes.
Alrighty. So hi again. My name is Maggie Rambo, and I'm a junior at Middle Tennessee State University. I'm majoring in organizational communication, and I'm minoring as of right now in tourism, hospitality, and event planning management. I'm conducting this interview for a class project, but I'm very eager to learn more about your role and what you do at Morning Pointe and all about the events you plan because it's really interesting to me, and maybe one day I could possibly do the same things that you're doing. Um, but the THM program at MTSU is really new. A lot of students are joining it every single day and every single semester, I should say. But it's really growing. So that's another reason why I'm really excited about hearing about the events you plan. So,
Sure.
if you would go ahead and introduce yourself and the position and the organization you work with and the location it's at and all that good stuff.
Sure. All right. I'm Jennifer Boals. I'm the Life Enrichment Director at Morning Pointe in Tullahoma, which the Life Enrichment Director is basically we do the activities for the residents, but we also do events, like you said, or did events. We're kind of with COVID, don't
Yeah.
get to do them. So those are kind of on a slow. So we try to right now still reach out to the community just in different ways, I guess, virtual like
Mhm.
this.
Yes.
So,
Alrighty. So, I'll go ahead and get started with the questions if that's
okay.
okay with you. For starters, just kind of explain to me your position at Morning Pointe. I know you kind of talked about the activities and event planning, but just, yeah, kind of explain to me your position and what you do.
Okay, so that's the Life Enrichment Director that we are over the activities, enriching their lives, basically in the title.
Mhm.
You know, on a day-to-day, I'm responsible for making their schedule as far as activities, keeping them involved, engaged with other people, whether it's socially, physically, spiritually. Also, in a normal circumstance, keeping them out with the community. Trying to think what else we do. Even intergenerational. Under a normal circumstance, we would have them with kids in here. We've got a church that's across the street. It's called Adopt a Grandma or Grandpa.
That's so
Um, yeah.
cute.
So the kids would come in here, and of course they would sing and they'd bring crafts, and then they would say, "Go hug grandma, go hug grandpa." And the kids would just like go everywhere and start hugging all over them and stuff. So they miss that because we haven't done
I'm
that in a long
sure.
time.
I'm sure
Yeah.
it's so hard. So, how long have you been working at Morning Pointe?
I've been here 4 years, but I've been doing this position for a little over 2.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, what led you there? What made you say, this is what I want to do?
I have always wanted to work with people, the public in general, whether it was kids.
Mhm.
As far as with the elderly, my mom worked in a nursing home.
Mhm.
So I was 15, I think, when I started there in housekeeping. And I instantly fell in love with working with the elderly people. I don't have grandparents. Most of mine have passed away, so I had one that I absolutely adored, and he passed, I think, when I was 18. So they're like grandparents to me.
Mhm. Aw,
And
sweet.
yeah, and they need people. They
Yeah.
need family. I mean, most of them have family, but there's some that don't, and especially times right now,
Mhm.
they need that interaction, that human touch.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's where it kind of started. I worked in housekeeping in the nursing home, and then I ended up going and working for the schools with kids. So what led me here was there was a job opening. Wasn't sure if I'd like it. Started out on third shift, and here I am 4 years later.
Yay, well, good. What is your favorite part about working, which I can probably guess it, but what's your favorite part about working with your residents and planning events for them?
As far as working with them, when it comes to an activity, it's their laugh, their smile, the way it makes their day. The other day we colored Easter eggs and they were cracking up. Like it brings them back to their childhood or when their kids, were small. So just the happiness on them.
Well, that's good. What parts do you find the most challenging about working there and planning events for the residents?
Challenging when you can see declines in residents. That just kind of goes with the job, but we expect that, but it doesn't make it any easier. So, and as far as planning events and stuff, COVID.
Yeah, and I plan to touch a little bit more on that too, because my thing is when we got presented with this project, I was like, I'm really interested in, because there's basic event planners, that plan a lot of events, but it's different to go and think about behind the scenes and think about people like you that are working in residential home, like for homes for the elderly or in the school system, and to kind of see how they plan events in situations that they have no other choice. Like, this is what you have to plan events with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
But,
it's been difficult.
I'm sure.
And what little we can do.
Are there any strategies you use when planning these events, or is there anything you kind of have to take into consideration?
Yes and no. It's of course depending on the event. So if in a normal situation, we would do a big community event. So usually those would entail, getting flyers out to the schools, getting flyers. Let me just use like September, for example. We usually did, excuse me, that is National Assisted Living Week is in the month of September. So we would always plan a big community event.
Oh.
So that entails getting it out to the community, getting flyers out there, getting it on Facebook. We usually we try to start 6 to 8 weeks prior to the event.
Wow.
As far as getting everything planned, working out the details. And that particular one is, we do like carnival themed, like games and popcorn and corn dogs and all that fun stuff. As far as for a family event, it's still the same, planning, I guess you could say. It's a little bit on a smaller scale. But the community, it's just reaching out to the right people. You want to touch families that you think, come here and 2 years down the road, think, hey, let's check into Morning Pointe, for our grandmother or whatever. So, you really can't go wrong with planning something like that for the community. It touches everybody's life. Everybody's going to need some type of assistance later on.
You're right. You're exactly right. What is your favorite type of event to plan? I know the circumstances right now are a little hesitant. You can't really do a lot, but what has been your favorite event that you've planned and got to do?
Anything with kids, just because that makes their day. So I would have to say I just went blank.
It's okay.
There's a dog out here that's totally distracted me. Like the carnival. The carnival's a big thing. It's absolutely fun. I can bring my kids to it. We did a trunk or treat that was adorable.
I'm sure.
The kids come in here dressed up. So anything that involves kids, like those are my absolute favorite.
And
Absolute.
that has to just make their day. Just seeing
Yes.
kids dressed up
Oh,
in costumes.
if they could just sit and talk to kids all day, that would make their day. They love it. Absolutely love it.
That is so cute. So why do you think, like I touched on this earlier, that the program, the THM program is really growing at MTSU. There's all sorts of new clubs, new affiliations, and all these different things that you can do around tourism, hospitality, and event planning. So I was just wondering, why do you think people, based on your experiences with events, why do you think people are so eager to enter it?
And this is my opinion.
Yes.
You don't, just from what I've seen as far as social media, I think that is getting things that you didn't normally know about or see. People are seeing it through the social media, through just internet in general. I think because it's a feel-good job too, and it kind of something that you, as far as a planner, it's something you have that control over, that creativity that you can put forth in it. I would say that's probably why it's right. A big thing would be social media, I would say, has just shown people how fun it is, how it's, it's a passion for a lot of people.
What type of personality traits and kind of social tactics do you think that someone needs when planning events?
You have to have energy. You have to be positive, because there's a lot of times that you can let negativity get to you. There's, so definitely a bubbly personality, energetic, time management, organized. The list could go on.
Yeah. So I kind of want to touch on how COVID has affected how you plan with your residents. I mean, I can only imagine the difference in trying to, because you're trying to keep them safe and healthy. Like I could not even imagine what you guys have had to go through this past year, trying to still keep them happy and wanting to be alive almost, and you can't do these fun things. So tell me how it's affected Morning Pointe and you and the residents.
It has been a very, very contrast to what we were normally used to. So before COVID, people came and went. We went out shopping. There really wasn't a limit to what we could do, or who we could see, or where they went, or so forth, as far as their day. We had volunteers, probably 3 to 4 volunteers in the building during a day. They do 6 activities a day. So, my job as leading the activities wasn't a huge role as far as just planning them, getting the volunteers. That was a big, big thing. Was I got the volunteers in here to interact with the residents. So since COVID, no volunteers are allowed in the building, period. So it's me, doing the activities. So, it's keeping the 6 feet rule, wearing masks. In the beginning, it was, they couldn't even come out of their room. So we had to get creative. Bring them to their doorway. We did doorway bingo. We did doorway exercises. So we tried to keep it as normal as possible, but I mean, you can't compare to what they're used to. So
wow, that's just, that blows my mind that you guys are still able to honestly do it, because my grandmother she's at NHC in Tullahoma, and we're just now being able to go 2 of us can go once a week and see her. But it's just, for a long time, she wasn't getting out of her room. It was, the whole got to go to the window, and there's ways. It's been really interesting to see how everybody has just changed their way of life. Like, you have no other choice, really. But So besides,
Don't quite understand that either. That's what's heartbreaking.
yes,
Because I
yes,
do not understand why.
yeah. So what, besides the COVID situation, what challenges do you face when you're trying to plan activities, or yeah, I should say plan activities for the residents? Are there any things you come across that are like challenges?
Yeah, they all have different personalities. So what may one or two may enjoy, the other two may not. So trying to find what everybody likes, which I'll say is bingo. So that's like the universal
Yeah.
activity. But yes, trying to figure out what everybody enjoys doing and trying to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to do something, whether it's
Yeah.
painting or a craft, or we have a lot that love to exercise. So devotionals, Bible studies, those things, but trying to have something that everybody likes, it can be a challenge.
I'm
And
sure.
on the same level.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. So last few questions, I just kind of wanted to ask some advice from you. So what advice do you have for someone who wants to enter the event planning industry?
Get as much as you can as far as the education. Study it. I would volunteer, whether it is in an assisted living or a wedding event or whatever. Volunteering, following somebody, your research, doing the research on it. I think sometimes people think it's a fun job, it's a part, it's a party or whatever, but there's a lot of planning and frustrations and schedules and roadblocks that you hit that can make it on the inside can be very frustrating. But in the end, I mean, it's a very, very rewarding job, no matter where you go in it.
Mm-hmm.
So
What qualifications, if you were hiring someone, what qualifications would stick out to you in a new hire?
Personality, their maybe what they volunteered in. I think that was a big thing as far as what stood out with mine. Your volunteering background, your commitment, your energy level, because you got to have it,
Yep.
your
Yep.
creativity. So
Alrighty. Well, I believe that's pretty much all the questions I have for you today. I really appreciate you meeting with me and talking about what you do at Morning Pointe and kind of your insight to event planning.
sure.
It's really opened my eyes, and hopefully I would like to volunteer at Morning Pointe, and hope after
Come
the
on.
COVID stuff is
Yes.
over, when you guys are accepting new volunteers, I would love to. That sounds
We would love you. We would love you. They
well.
would
I
love
believe I believe that's all I have. Thank you again, Miss
You're
Boals.
welcome.
I hope to see you again soon.
You too, and good luck.
Thank you. Thank you so